Back with you on the Newsfeed PM. Thanks for staying on. Let's head to the Eastern Cape now, where the Department of Education is set to visit the David Mama Senior Secondary School in Mdantsane in East London on Monday to investigate allegations of bullying. This after a video went viral of learners slapping and pushing a fellow pupil while disembarking from what appears to be a scholar transport. The Provincial Education Department has condemned the incident, saying it is unacceptable. The children involved will receive psychological support. Let's get more details now. We're joined by the Eastern Cape Education MEC spokesperson, Velani Mbiza Gola. Velani, good to have you. Thank you very much for coming on this afternoon. What we are seeing there, male pupils seemingly bullying a female pupil. This particular video having been shot, we are told, by another female student who was on this, which appears to be a scholar transport. First question would be, if this particular video was not shot, put on social media and made to go viral as it has, how would the department have known of this incident happening in that particular scholar transport?
Good afternoon to you, Butabo. Good afternoon to the viewers as well. And thank you for having us. Thanks for the opportunity. Regarding your question, Butabo, in all honesty, the department would have definitely not known, because obviously for us to know, we would obviously need to have a report or somebody make an indication somewhere that there is this kind of a behavior occurring in the school.
So are you saying there are no protocols in place to ensure the safety of the children, that they are invigilated, for lack of a better word, or monitored while they are on these modes of transport?
I wouldn't venture to say they are none, but just to say reality is, for starters, this is happening outside the school premises where there are more stringent protocols of observation in terms of the learners and their behavior. But then now, if you look at the incident, it happens as the children are in the school bus, which is their scholar transport, and they are going out of the bus. It goes and occurs further from the bus. And obviously, the school authorities, as it were, they wouldn't immediately know unless somebody does indicate to them that there's this that has occurred.
Yeah.
There are measures in place in terms of the school and its premises that look at such things, and with clear, determined actions as to what must happen when such incidents occur.
Yeah.
But certainly for this specific incident, as we all know now from the video that's in circulation, this happened as they exited their scholar transport.
Yeah.
I do want to say, Tabo, maybe it's an indictment on our society and how we perceive and relate with these kinds of behaviors, because one could be asking a question to say, where was the driver when this was happening? Whom, at this instance, is the only adult or a person who could be providing some form of supervision under the circumstances. But also you can equally be unable to blame the driver entirely, because it's not entirely his responsibility, or it could be that he didn't even see it as it occurred. Because as you can tell from the incident happens and the bus is leaving as the incident is occurring.
So your investigation, or at least your consultation with those involved, how far does it go? What's the obligation now that you have seen this video on the department, and what the department needs to do?
The South African Schools Act, Tabo and the viewers, is pretty much clear on this one. Where there is this kind of ill-discipline and deviant behavior to a point that it negatively affects another fellow learner in the negative manner that this video has, there's definitely clear cut out steps that the school and the department must take. And I'll tell you now that the preliminary thing to do is to immediately suspend the perpetrator to ensure that the victim is protected at one, but also in the process, during the process of suspension, you are then afforded a space to thoroughly investigate the causes and then the extent to which the incident has occurred. And then you are able to take corrective action from both ends.
Yeah. Now, I mean, of course, this is anecdotal purely by looking at the videos, and we have not ascertained and assessed their ages and whatever would be the details. But from looking at the video, they all appear to be minors. Now, if you're saying they will be suspended, what would happen then as far as the education that they still need to be getting while you're doing your investigation?
Generally, what happens, Butabo, is that if a minor is suspended or a school-going child is suspended, and obviously that happens in consultation with the school management, teacher, stroke principal, and the SGB, and of course the parents forming part of that. If it is a definite expulsion from the school as a form of sanction, then the department is obligated to look for an alternative school for that particular child, just to ensure that much as they've committed an offense, the fact that there is still a minor and they're still entitled or have a right to education, that is also managed accordingly. But that must not happen at the expense of the victim, because you can imagine, Butabo, a situation where you just say, no, we'll suspend you, and then that's it. What then happens to the victim and whoever else is exposed in that situation? Yeah. Are you not in a way perpetuating that situation to occur repeatedly? Hence, the sanction is always definitely to remove them from the particular precinct where the victim is. Then they can be taken to an alternative education center.
What is then the thinking? I mean, this is not the first video of this kind to surface on social media. It might not have been in the Eastern Cape, might have been in other provinces as well. But the point is, yes, what is the thinking now around creating a safer, child-friendly environment in the commute? I understand creating that environment within the learning environment at school, but in the commute for the pupils themselves.
Tabo, like I indicated, the only sort of clear line and area of responsibility for us as the education department now is within the school premises, and at least close by and within that proximity. Once they leave the school, now obviously the responsibility shifts to a different party. But obviously, because as the government, we are working together, we are enjoined with the parents and the SGBs, there's always alternative ways of trying to ensure that there is safety that happens. For instance, the department previously had made an announcement, and that, particularly in the Eastern Cape, is already happening. There's what they call safety brigades, which are placed in each of the school premises, particularly in areas where there's a clear prevalence of violence or this kind of a deviant behavior. So that, even though it might not be mitigating the situation entirely, because you can only imagine how far those safety brigades can go. Once the child boards the transport and goes home, now the gap is between home and the transport itself. So I do know the Department of Safety and the South African Police Services, they are operating structures called community police forums. So we think that could also come in handy, because between the bus and home, that's now the jurisdiction of the community, which is where CPFs and the police, law enforcement, if it's a municipality and so on, can operate in that jurisdiction. But I must maybe end it by saying, Butabo, from our side as the department, part of what we've done now, immediately as we had indicated in our statement, by Monday, we are expecting a collaboration and a partnership between ourselves as the department, the SGB, Social Development, South African Police Services. We are all going to be converging at David Mama to ensure that there's clear psychosocial support that is given to the learner, and the rest of the learners who might have been affected by the scene, but also just to make an overarching awareness to the learners regarding the scourge of bullying and crime in general.